Good afternoon, everyone out there, and welcome to another edition of RecruitMilitary Live, a continuing series of live broadcasts covering all things military transition, veteran employment, mil-spouse employment, and much, much more. My name is Lucas Connolly, retired U.S. Army officer and former TAP program manager, here to share with you the ins and outs of making the move to the civilian world of employment. If you are in search of meaningful employment, then, well, you're in the right place. Please visit rmvets.com/live to learn more. Okay, let's roll in. Are you thinking about leaving the military? If you answered yes, then you're watching the right show. Are you a hiring manager who's considering hiring more veterans into your workforce, or creating a military outreach or a veteran outreach program to meet your staffing needs? Well, then stay tuned, because you're going to want to hear what we have today. Today's topic is aimed directly at the hiring managers and the veterans. We're going to be getting after the topic of why hire a vet. All right. Everybody knows that there's a lot of veterans out there, and there are a lot of veteran job seekers. We're going to touch on some things that hiring managers need to know and that job seekers need to know about why veteran talent is so important in the modern workforce. The first thing I want to do is run down some material from my recent LinkedIn post, top 10 reasons why hiring managers should want to hire a vet. So if you've got a pen and paper, stand by and prepare to copy. You're going to want to hand this. Number 10, veterans are easy to train. Look, the veteran community, while in uniform, we're used to the idea that we have to learn a new job every 2 to 3 years, pick up and move somewhere else, adapt to a new environment, get a new job skill, learn things we've never done before, and immediately begin generating results. All right. We are not put off by the idea that we're going to do one thing one day and the next day do something else. I've seen entire brigade combat teams go to the National Training Center and train to go to one country, only to be told while they're training, while they're doing their culminating training exercise, hey, stop what you're doing. You're not going to country A. There's been a change of plans. You're going to country B. No kidding. Actually happened during the surge in Iraq. Change of mission, and everybody just turns on a dime because, okay, it changed. Let's learn a new function. Let's do it. You can expect that from a veteran hire, that ability to make changes and to learn something new very quickly. Number 9, teamwork. All right. Teamwork makes the dream work. We've seen the teamwork posters in the workplace. For veterans, not my job is not in my vocabulary. All right. We believe that in actuality, in all practicality, the work gets done faster with many hands, and helping everybody else succeed helps you succeed. Number 8, punctuality. We are punctual to a fault. Truth be told, we are probably going to be showing up 15 or 20 minutes early for everything. Just get used to it. All right. Probably if we're not on time for work, something has gone very, very, very wrong. Number 7, DE&I. We hear a lot about DE&I these days. For the military, this has been standard data for about since 1948, when the forces were integrated. We know that the men and women to our left and right are critical to getting the mission done, and it really doesn't matter much. Color of your skin, sexual orientation, persuasion, ethnicity. These are things that we just don't think about because we're so mission focused. Number 6, standards and SOPs. We do love our standards and our doctrine and our SOPs. A veteran will probably come into your workforce and ask for them if you don't already have them, and then offer to write them if you don't already have them. So we love what's in black and white because it's really hard to argue with a standard. We love our standards. It's the standard. We're going to hear us say that a million times. That's the standard. We like our standards. Number 5, safety. We live safety. We breathe safety. We have people whose entire jobs it is in the military to do safety. When we see a safety issue or a safety concern, we want to fix it immediately. Safety violations absolutely positively make us cringe. We believe that safety is crucial and critical. If you don't have a safety culture in your workplace, hire a couple of veterans and you probably will. Number 4, integrity. We live and die by our word. There are people who told me when I came up in the military, credibility is a coin you can spend only once. Your integrity is what you stand by. Your word is as good as gold, if not more. Lying, we just don't do it. I mean, are there a few folks out there that don't live the military values that they were taught? Sure. But generally speaking, we're going to come to you straight. We're going to own whatever it is the problem is. and we're going to help it get fixed. And we don't have no tolerance whatsoever for liars. You're just actually going to see a vet go from happy vet to angry vet in a heartbeat if lying is a part of the equation. Confidence. Number 3, confidence. We can do anything. Just ask us. All right. We like to joke. You ask a soldier, hey, do you know how to drive a tank? Do you know how to fly a helicopter? Do you know how to work that piece of machinery, that big D6 dozer over there? You might look at it and go, nope, but give me 20 minutes in the manual and I'll figure it out. We believe, perhaps to a fault, that we can get just about anything done given the right amount of time and the right resources. Number 2, technology. Look, new technology comes out constantly in the military. The military is on the very cutting edge of technology, which what makes our military the most powerful fighting force on the planet. And we are very used to using new technology, learning how to use it, and learning how to make it work for us in a very short period of time. The last thing, and the number 1 thing on the list, is leadership. We are taught from basic initial entry training, airborne school, ranger school, leadership begins at the lowest level. If you've been in the military for longer than 6 months, you have probably been put in charge of people and tasks and resources. So by the time a transitioning service member comes to your office to interview for a job, even if he doesn't know about your industry, you can know that he knows about people, he or she knows about people and how to manage them. Teach that individual how your industry operates, and you've got a future manager on your hands. I guarantee it. All right. So now that we've cracked open the subject of why to hire a vet, I'd like to get in here and welcome a really fantastic individual. He is a fighting soldier from the sky, one of the fearless men who jump and die. I can't sing, so I won't try. All right. Our special guest today is coming to us live from the hills of North Carolina at an undisclosed location, I might add. Retired in 2018 with over 22 years of active duty service, he served most of his career in the Special Forces as a Green Beret officer, with deployments to the Balkans, Iraq, and Afghanistan. He holds a Bachelor's of Science in Biology from the Citadel, a Master's of Science in Defense Analysis from the Naval Postgraduate School. He's a senior manager at Avantis Federal, a volunteer with Project Transition USA, and lives, well, like I said, undisclosed location, with his wife and 3 children, who I understand are already scheduled to attend SFAS in the fall. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Mr. Kirk Windmueller.
Hey, thanks, Lucas. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, Kirk. Thanks for being on.
Absolutely, and hopefully you're not going to make me sing, right? So
No.
that wasn't on the agenda. But yeah, no. I'm up in my mountain lair up in North Carolina mountains. So life is good here. But appreciate you having me on.
Well, it's great to have you on the show, and I have to admit I did do a little bit of LinkedIn snooping, a little LinkedIn stalking, and as it would turn out, you were coming in through the northern part of Iraq while I was coming in from the southern part of Iraq. So I think we've chewed a little bit of the same sand.
Yeah, that's right. We're part of that invasion, Task Force Viking up in the north, the Kurdish held area. So that was pretty exciting.
Love the Kurdish food, the dormi, the rice and meat wrapped in grape leaves. You just can't miss it. I'd go back there in a heartbeat if it weren't so darn dangerous.
Always choose lamb over goat, though.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, folks, now that you know who we are, we'd like to hear who you are. Jump into that chat window, drop your comments. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're with, what's your status. Are you in transition? Are you a veteran? Are you getting ready to retire? Are you a hiring manager that wants to learn a little bit more about what the value is of hiring veterans? Whoever you are, we want to hear from you. We also want to hear your comments, questions, and concerns. Given the right amount of time, we'll take some of your questions. All right, Kirk, as they say down on the flight line, we are wheels up. I ran through my top 10 list. I tell you, nobody hates a top 10 list. I think that's what kept some of the late night talk shows on for so long. But I want to drill down on a couple of key topics here. One of the things veterans tend to bring to the table when they go to a civilian job is an amazing work ethic. What kind of performance can an employer expect to see after hiring a veteran?
Well, that's a great question to lead with. I think, and normally, in the course of your military service, you change roles every few months, maybe every few years, you're cast into kind of a different role, different position, and you're expected to very quickly, come up to speed on whatever that role is and learn what the job is. Civilian sector, when they hire you, they really do expect you to come in and start performing at a high level in the role that they hire you in. There's obviously some exceptions. If the company is bringing you in and they understand that you're doing something brand new from, that's kind of outside of your wheelhouse, they typically, some will be more patient with you and train you up to the task. But in most cases, you kind of got to be ready on day one to start performing for the company. So expect that in most situations.
Now, is there anything that a veteran ought to temper? We understand that veterans, they want to get the job done. They're absolutely motivated. They don't stare at the clock. Is there something that they should be prepared, maybe make an adjustment, maybe slow down a little when they get there into the civilian workforce?
Yeah, I would say that your pace is going to be way different in the civilian sector than it has been in the military. You spend probably a lot of time on the flight line, the hurry up and wait thing. You're a soldier 24/7 or airman, Marine.
Sitting on my rucksack.
Exactly right. So, you're expected to, 24 hours a day, you're a trooper, right? So, but when, civilian world, they kind of understand that you have a life and you have a family, and it's more, the role is going to be more typically, 8 to 4, 9 to 5 kind of role, banker's hours role in most cases. Now, depending on what your job is, you could have special projects where you're going to be required to work, additional hours. But in most cases, you are, you've got your time on the company. They're 8 hours a day, and then the rest of the day is yours. You're not required to show up at 6 to do for formation and for PT or any of that stuff. So you've got you're going to have way more free time than what you've been used to in uniform, for sure. And
yeah, and I think
adjustment for a lot of folks.
Yeah, and not just for your own pace, but if you are lucky enough to jump into a junior leadership role or a supervisor or a junior manager's role, just out of uniform, you're probably expecting your folks to stay late off the clock or without being paid if they're, or expecting them to work 70 or 80 hours a week. You might want to throttle that back just a touch, or you're going to have some very ticked off employees.
Yeah, right. In the civilian sector, if you work overtime, you're going to get paid overtime too. So that's the expectation. Or like you put in a 20-hour day in the military, that paycheck is the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust me, I don't even like to hear the numbers about what it comes out to when you compare it to what your actual salary is, but that's a whole nother topic. We hear the mottos in the military over and over again. We hear these things like improvise, adapt, and overcome. The Marines love saying that. Adapt or die. Pretty much everybody says that. Semper Gumby. All right, that really ought to be on a crest somewhere. The SEALs like to say the only easy day was yesterday. What do civilian hiring managers need to hear about a veteran's ability to adapt and problem solve independently?
Yeah, one of the great things that you've learned over the course of your military career was mission planning, like troop leading procedures and how to understand all facets of the problem in front of you, whether it's conducting a dry fire range or a marksmanship range, or conducting a raid in Afghanistan or Iraq, something complicated, right? So you have that unique ability to be able to look holistically at a problem and understand all facets of it. And we all know that the plan never survives first
Never survives
contact.
first contact. Yep.
That's
the enemy
right.
gets a vote.
The enemy gets a vote. So if you take that mindset with you in the civilian sector, but try to understand what sort of things could come at you, and have a plan B and C, your PACE plan in front of you, that will make you a very valuable asset to your employer.
First unit I was ever assigned to was Apache Company 237 Armor. I was a fire support officer. The motto of that unit was Apaches always attack. We've heard, if you've ever seen Patton, he says, I don't want to hear about anybody holding their ground. Let the enemy do that. We are advancing constantly. It is safe to say, I think, a part of military culture is a default to action. Is there a time to act, or do our transitioning service members need to understand the meaning of the word collaboration?
Well, you absolutely are going to have to work as a team when you get that new role outside of the military, and you're used to that as well. Working with a diverse set of folks, there's different ideas and whatnot. Now, in this scenario, in the military, you've typically been told what to do, or there's basically a decision made at the top, and you go and execute. You might find that your company, depending on who you decide to work for, their environment may be more collaborative than what the military was, right? So you may get a vote. They may want to, they may value your opinion as a person that's kind of an outsider to the organization, and with your unique military experience too. So don't be afraid to pipe up. Don't sit there being stoic and quiet all the time. Maybe they want to hear what you have to say. So don't be afraid to speak out.
Absolutely. Recent guest on the show, Bill Keither, great author. One of the things that he's written about is the experience gap. A lot of leadership experience in the military, but once we change industries into something else, our peers of the same age and temperament, they have a ton of experience we lack. They know little or nothing about the job they're coming into. They have to learn everything from Jump Street. Can you talk for a minute about how the leadership experience veterans bring to the table, and their need to learn the industry, as well as have the temperament to lead? What's the value there when a manager brings somebody on? What level of experience with leadership and management can they expect?
Yeah, you nailed it when you said, your peers that have been out in industry for years are ahead of you when it comes to that industry experience. And the inverse of that is you are probably ahead of them when it comes to, leading folks and leading teams and that sort of thing. Now, there's definitely great leadership in the civilian sector as well. So don't think that nobody knows what they're doing. They do. There's people that are really good at it. So come in with a little bit of humility when you join a new team, because you might find that, I've got some great mentors in my company that I look up to, so they are, absolutely keep an open mind when you join your new team. But you've got those skills that you learned in the military that, you've learned to mentor your troops, to do the regular counseling statements. If they mess up,
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you bring them into the office and you put your hand on the shoulder. Well, maybe don't put your hand on the shoulder anymore. It's like, but you counsel them, you straighten them out, and do the corrective action or whatever. And, and then they drive on. That's just the way it goes. But that sort of the paperwork and the diligence of, keeping, the counseling and maturing, mentoring your troops, keep that same mindset when you get to the civilian world as well, because that's a very valuable tool for you in your kit bag there. That's universal, right? People appreciate that sort of guidance and leadership that you're going to bring to the table from your military experience.
I was actually very surprised to hear when I came onto my first job post-military that the folks that I was responsible for hadn't received a performance review in over 3 years. A written performance review was company policy, required annually. For some reason, hadn't been done in over 3 years, such to the point that the guys that were supposed to get a pay bump didn't get it because they had no reviews on file. Have you seen anything that horrible?
Yeah, it's always important to know where you stand, whether we're in uniform or whether in civilian sector. You really want to know how you're doing and how people perceive you, and that counseling is that opportunity to do that. So, I'm lucky enough to work in a company where they do that very similar model that the military uses. So they have an annual, year-end kind of a roundup of counseling, and then they have a midterm, mid-year session as well too, for just to make sure you're on track on azimuth as well. So my experience has been a positive one. So I'm sure there's horror stories out there where people aren't given any guidance or whatnot. But when you step into a role, make sure that doesn't happen to you and the people that are below you. If your company doesn't have some sort of program like that, like tell them to build one. Make them implement one if they don't have that, and they'll appreciate it later. It's only going to benefit your company.
Yeah, sure. Grab an OER and rewrite it, and then take credit for it. Heck,
exactly. Yeah.
Plagiarism is not going to get you in trouble out there as long as you're not stealing trade secrets.
Exactly.
When it comes to leadership, though, somebody told me abandon the knife hand. But the knife hand is one of my greatest tools. I can give direction. I can capture your attention with it. I can move things around swiftly. Is the knife hand and the stern reprimand something I need to shelve if I'm going to be a manager in the civilian sector?
Yeah, you probably want to put that thing away, holster that. And you probably, if you're used to getting laid into like drill sergeant style, or, you probably don't want to bring that to your new employer as well. Things are a little different than the military culture when it comes to that. It's like,
All right.
not so much yelling out here, and and dropping the F-bombs and other expletives that you've been bombarded with in the military for however many years.
All right, hiring managers out there, give your vets a break a little bit. They might need a minute to adapt. Okay, so great leadership. Maybe they need maybe a little polishing around the edges, but you've got hiring a vet is going to give you a great pick and great potential for growth. As we talk about the job market out there, how important are transitioning service members? What do they need to know about security clearances? How important is that? How valuable is that?
So if you've got a security clearance, that could be really valuable to you as far as, monetarily, and getting certain jobs within the defense sector and government as well. So if you've got an active clearance, one of the things you may want to do as you're thinking about your transition out of uniform is making sure that clearance doesn't lapse on you as you're getting out when you need it the most, right? So if you're seeking clearance work, you want to keep that with you and maintain that. And that clearance says a lot about you. One, it says you're trustworthy, like we can trust you with secrets, right? And all these procedures that we use to safeguard everything. So if you've got that clearance, you don't have all this dirt in your background, you're not a criminal, they can trust you. So that's valuable there. And then typically the higher the clearance, the more lucrative your position is going to be. So if, seeker clearance is kind of the entry level, then if you've got a TS or CI or poly, companies are scrambling to get those sorts of folks with those clearances, and those that pay will typically be much higher with that level of clearance if the job requires it. So absolutely, yeah, clearance is one of those key things if you are seeking cleared work after the military. If you're not, then it's not a big deal. You can let it lapse. You don't have to worry about it. And many people have no interest in doing that kind of stuff when they get out. So, but if you do, make sure you keep your clearance.
A lot of hiring managers have shaped what they believe about veterans because of Hollywood. Hopefully the good movies, about things like the folks in your community. All right. I think I've seen Zero Dark 30 about 1 million times. I've seen Green Berets 1 million times. Love me some military movies. But if I was a hiring manager and the only thing I knew about the military was Gunnery Sergeant Hartman and John Wayne and Chris Pratt, I would probably have a really distorted image about what military veterans are. Veterans have the onus, have the mission for themselves, their responsibility to break through those stereotypes. What kind of branding, what kind of marketing can veterans do to help show these hiring managers, hey, I am not all about Velcro and Copenhagen. I am a talented leader ready to excel in your workplace.
Yeah, and that personal branding is so important when you're looking for your next chapter in your life. And that's something that a lot of the military folks do not excel at because they haven't had to, right? So you were just assigned to places throughout your military career. You didn't have to interview for a job in most cases. You didn't have to have a resume with your work experience on it. You didn't have to sell yourself. You didn't you didn't have to negotiate on your salary. You didn't have to have a LinkedIn account. In most cases, you were probably discouraged from being on any sort of social media, especially if you were in the intel world or the soft community as well. So you're highly discouraged from being on any of those kind of platforms now. So as you get ready to take the uniform off and find that next job, you're going to have to change that mindset a little bit. So you need to have a professional online presence like LinkedIn. Have a professional profile with a professional looking photo in there, because that's the first thing that recruiters and other folks are going to see if they're going to connect with you is that photo. You don't want to have that gunny highway growl on your face. You want to have a nice smile, right? Because people they want to think that hey, you're a person that we would want to work with. So LinkedIn profile, you got to be prepared to put together a resume that's tailored for the job that you're interested in. So that means you have a master resume kind of with all your stuff on it. And then whenever you send out a resume for a specific job, you're going to want to do some tweaking to that to make sure that it reads right for that job description. So that's a skill right there. Then if you get the the call back for an interview, you're going to need to be able to have some interview skills, like some, and that's that could be a interview panel, a panel style interview. It could be live, like in the room with those folks. Could be over a Zoom. So be prepared to field some tough questions, from a panel. Be prepared to tell a little bit about yourself, that verbal business card or elevator pitch about a succinct little, 2 to 3 minute pitch about who you are and what, why you get up, why do you get out of bed every day and what drives you, that sort of thing. You can tell about your family a little bit as well. Be able to field those questions with the interview team, and then also be able to ask a few questions, because there's always that opportunity at the end of an interview for you to ask some questions. So have some well thought out ones that you got in your back pocket that you can bring to the team. Never say, no, I don't have any questions, because that's, they want to see that you can think on your feet and that you're truly, genuinely interested in the role, and have, if you've got great, well thought out questions about it, that's going to speak a lot better for you. So those sorts of branding things right there are things you got to work on. You haven't been taught those in the military. Your TAP program is a great start to learn how to do those, but you're probably going to need some assistance with those, whether it's a veteran service organization or finding mentors that have made it out and made it to the other side. So talk to those kind of folks and figure out, like, hey, what kind of skills do you need to brush up on? And yet, whether it's talking to yourself in the mirror, rehearsing that kind of stuff. You're always taught in the military, rehearse before the mission.
Oh yeah.
Treat this like a mission and do a rehearsal, so you're more comfortable with it. I did many interviews during the process of my job hunt, and I did not get comfortable with it until like interview number 5 or 6. So it just takes a while, unless you're really type A and outspoken and you're really good at this stuff naturally. A lot of us aren't. I wasn't, for sure.
Yeah, and I know I answered a lot of questions very poorly when I got out too. It's only after years of helping to coach other people through their success that I see how really dumb some of my answers were. All right, sliding into the end of the broadcast, Kirk, imagine yourself in an elevator. You've got 30 seconds between where you're coming and where you're going. You've got a Fortune 100 company hiring manager in there. He's having a quick conversation with you. And Kirk, he's going to ask you a question. He's going to say, Kirk, tell me something. Why should I hire veterans? In 30 seconds or less. What are you going to tell him?
You should hire a veteran because veterans are going to bring that, simply put, they're going to bring that warrior ethos with them to your company. And that warrior ethos is, that you don't give up. You have integrity. You're trustworthy. All those great things that were instilled into you, kind of beaten into you during, from basic training all the way to the end of your service. That's part of who you are, and that's what you bring to that organization. So that, maybe it's a great sense of humor as well that all the vets have, that dark side sense of humor. But, all that wonderful stuff is what you're going to get when you hire a veteran. And, just the willingness to see the mission through to the end. They're not going to quit on you. They're super dependable. So, like, all that great stuff.
Awesome. Kirk, before we go, can you just take a minute and tell us what you've got going on over at Avantis Federal and at Project Transition USA?
Yeah, so my full-time day job is with a company called Avantis Federal, and we're a mid-sized company in the defense and intelligence industry. We specialize in big data problems, big data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence. We also have cyber capabilities and mission support capabilities as well. So we've got this great suite of capabilities that we have, and that we our primary customers are in the intelligence and Department of Defense community, as well as Homeland Security and others. So I help my company with business development and finding new opportunities for them. And if you're interested in a career at Avantis, we have a military and veterans a career portal page, so you can go to that and see what's out there. We've got career opportunities kind of all over the country. that are open, and that's a revolving door as as we win, new contracts and new opportunities. Are going to be more job openings as well. So, and a lot of those are really great fit for veterans as well, and the skills they bring to the table, because they're intelligence and program management heavy in a lot of cases, cyber and that sort of thing. So please check that out if you get the chance. And the other organization that the organization I volunteer with is called Project Transition USA. They're based out of Tampa, and they teach a regular workshop at MacDill Air Force Base. And they teach transitioning vets how to use LinkedIn and build their profile up and how to network. So it was like the most valuable single day that I had during my transition year. So they've got a group page on LinkedIn. You can join that page, and they've got an online course as well if you're a member of the group page. And if you're in the Tampa area, you can sign up for one of those live courses that they run about once a month or so. And the classes fill up quickly. They've got room for about 40 folks in there. So if you're interested in that, either reach out to me or Nancy Lane at Project Transition USA, and we'll get you into one of those courses. But fantastic course, taught me everything I know about LinkedIn and more. So, that's
great.
Yeah, Lucas. Yeah.
All right, folks. And if you haven't already done so, go to www.recruitmilitary.com, where you'll find over 400,000 job opportunities from 16,000 employers around the world and around the corner. You'll also find information about job fairs held monthly nationwide, in person and virtual, as well as a library of content, all designed to help veterans, transitioning service members, and mil spouses find meaningful employment. On behalf of Recruit Military and the folks that joined us today, Kirk, thanks for taking the time to be on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Lucas.
Awesome. And for you out there in LinkedIn land or Facebook, be sure to tune in next week as we tackle the topic of transitioning from a career in the Special Forces with Bob Newman and Lindsay Cashin from the Honor Foundation. It sounds like it's going to be a good show. This has been Lucas Connolly for Recruit Military Live. Until we talk again, good luck and Godspeed.